How you must be? You've been busy.
I have been busy. How do you know I've been busy?
Well, because you've been in Londonium.
Ah, that's right. That's why we are recording a Vespa rather than whatever you call the morning service.
It's so funny because
yes.
a Vespa is not only a motorcycle, but it's a motorcycle named after a wasp. So I was right with wasp when you said Vespa.
I was thinking about the church.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. This is midlifing Vespas.
As opposed to, would be Matan. That would be the morning one, wouldn't it? I'm so rubbish. I don't know any of these words. I don't know why I even started down this.
Well, the reason people listen to this podcast is to learn words from you. So this is this
is
might,
bad 'cause
this
these
is
are
the
words I
beginning
don't
of the
know.
end, or the end of the beginning. You've been in London.
Yes, that's right.
Have you just got back?
Yeah, we got back about an hour and a half ago, and I am a little bit tired.
Was that work or pleasure?
Pleasure.
So you wait until I leave London before you visit London?
I know. It's just,
That's not a coincidence, is it?
I mean, it looks like a slight, but honestly, it was just a pure coincidence. That,
It was Coldplay. Was Coldplay playing?
Oh my
Or
god!
Elbow.
No, there is
Elbow.
There is nothing that would induce me less than Coldplay.
I like Coldplay. I like Elbow too.
You can like. I like Elbow,
no,
but
but Bob
I
doesn't
don't
like
think
Elbow.
I would. Yeah, exactly. So this was a DJ.
You went to
DJ.
London to go to a DJ.
I went to London to go to a club and dance until 3 a.m.
You didn't.
No,
Was it a
the set
Portuguese?
carried on till 3.
Was the Portuguese DJ? And you left at 9
It was a
p.m.
Portuguese DJ. No, we didn't leave at 9 p.m. We left at about quarter to maybe 2ish.
Wow! Did you have to get an?
We-
did you have
we-
to get an Uber back to your hotel?
We weren't staying in a hotel. We were staying with friends who also like aforementioned. I should tell you the name. He's called Branko. Branko.
Oh yes, you've mentioned.
Yeah. I've mentioned him
Yeah.
because I'm a big fan. And yeah, so he has, in fact, for the rest of August. Anybody who is in London town should check him out. It's at the Jazz Cafe in Camden. On every Friday in August, he has a residency at the Jazz Cafe, and he is a phenomenally awesome DJ.
This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
How was the what were the demographics of the group there on a Friday night at the Jazz Cafe?
This was the interesting thing. We drove past
Wait,
earlier on in the evening while there was
You drove
queue
to London?
Yeah, because I know it was not necessarily the best choice. Except Jeff was in tow. We because this is high summer. Jeff's holiday cottage was fully booked, so he wasn't able to go and hang out with the.
So did he come clubbing with you?
He came to our friend's flat and slept in the bathroom while we were out. And had a high old time then today going around Kentish Down and Camden being treated like a little celebrity.
I bet he was.
Because it turns out that people in London have heard of Dalmatians but apparently have never seen
People of
one.
London have probably heard of Jeffrey, actually.
Oh, that's possibly true. But he got so much attention. He was being manhandled left and right, and he was just like, yeah, this is how it should be.
Manhandled.
And so I've come back and made me and Bob a vodka martini, and we are just carrying on as if we are still.
And did you dance and dance and dance? And what were you like? Do you think you were the oldest people in the room?
No, curiously weren't. To answer your question about demographics, it was a mix of humans. There were, I think, perhaps the usual club goers who would be at
20s.
that kind of a venue. Yeah, exactly. There were people probably comfortably up to their late 50s, early 60s. Not many of them, but a few. And then there was, a smattering of everybody in between. There seemed to be a significantly large Portuguese diaspora present.
Did the oldies bust some moves?
The oldies were sort of doing some good swaying. Bob, I forgot, is in her natural habitat in a club with a very, very loud bass. It was great. It was really good, and it actually made me think about something, which I think I want to talk about.
You've got content.
I think I have. I think I've come with an idea for a conversation.
Well, it's lucky because all I had to talk about was having the most egregious sugar hangover on Friday, like I've never had before, and also I introduced myself to Reddit.
Okay, we're going to have to fall down the Reddit rabbit hole on another day because
wow.
I need to know about that. But I do want to ask you something, and maybe it won't last long, and maybe we can come back to Reddit. And also, sugar hangover. What had you eaten to such excess?
Oh my God, Lee Miller. I think I have an addiction. I think I really do think I might have a problem when it comes to sugar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? The first step on the road to recovery is admitting that you have a problem. So you have a problem. Well done. This is a safe space. Tell me more, as I just have a sip from my vodka martini. No sugar.
So I just went and I was doing some no plastic shopping, and they had some. I guess you'd call them jubes. I don't know. I would call them jubes. I don't know what they're called in this part of the world. Sugared
jelly beans.
Yeah, no, but they're like sugar coated, and they've got they're sort of hardish, softish. Sort of jellyish, gelatinous. These are vegan ones. And I got a little container, and I went back to work and opened the container, and I knew I would eat them all. And even as I was inviting that kind of jitteriness, I was still eating them, and didn't sleep a wink. Like, just basically was like all night. This would have been at 4:00 in the afternoon, and then woke up in the morning feeling utterly, and it was, I reckon, 24 hours later, I started to feel vaguely human, and my gut still hasn't settled down.
Can I say, I don't think that you have a sugar addiction. I think the problem that you've got is that you don't keep a regular enough intake of sugar in your diet, because if you did, you wouldn't notice. Because I'm like, that seems like a normal afternoon to eat a massive tub full of sweets.
Wow,
and then...
I think maybe there was something wrong with them. But yes, I just felt horrendous. I mean, like massive headache, and I had a supervision with a bunch of students on Friday morning, and all I did was talk about my sugar hangover.
And you say your tummy's been wobbly.
Yeah, since I mean, I'm feeling a lot better now because I've just.
I'm glad. You've been eating nothing but celery and still water.
Yeah, it's like you've got a camera set up in our new flat. You don't, do you?
Who do you think's renting the flat to?
Well, I know the person's deceased, so it's not you.
Or am I?
Oh, that's great. Podcasting with a deceased person.
I've been on the spreadsheet for a while. This has been the long con. What you didn't know is this is why you've not seen me.
Basically, your last breaths. I'm podcasting with your last breaths.
I've been long gone. I'm a ghost.
That is great. So yeah, that's my sugar hangover story. Not nearly as interesting as Reddit. If we do, we won't this week. But if we do get to talk about Reddit, it would be fun for you to guess which subreddits I follow.
Is there a Pomodoro subreddit?
There probably is, but I haven't followed that one. I'm tempted to look right now.
Resist.
Give me a moment.
Resist or resist.
So, tell me your content.
Oh, well, it might not be content. It might be over really quickly. But I was struck by how nice everybody was at the club. And I haven't been clubbing, it's not been it's not been decades, but it's probably been a couple of years before the pandemic. So it's been a while.
And
But
you're
my
from
memory of-
clubbing heyday. You're from clubbing ecstasy taking heyday as well, aren't you? You're a '90s boy in that sense.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
think,
drum
I mean,
and bass,
while I wasn't I wasn't big on that scene, my friends were, and Bob was, and so it means that I've been to more clubs, I guess, than I think I have, because I don't think that it's something that I did, because I didn't really
You followed.
Exactly. I was just I would go along with people. It wasn't central to my existence, and I seem to remember falling asleep a lot against speakers because I've never really been good at staying up late. So it's.
I was on the other
can
speaker,
sleep through
asleep on
anything.
against the other speaker.
Oh, I did have a moment where I dropped off yesterday, and one of the
At
staff
the club.
at the club, yeah, of course, standing up. Because that's how I roll. And one of the staff tapped me on the arm to ask me if this was my can. It wasn't. But at first I was just like, "Who's this man in my bedroom? Why is my bedroom so noisy? I'm not in my bedroom. I'm in a club. Calm down." Okay,
Wow.
right, gotcha. So I did have I would have only been asleep for seconds, but still,
Well, you weren't
my
dancing
brain
in your sleep, were you?
powered down. No, this was there was a brief window where my legs just said, "Lee David, you're going to have to calm down. You're going to have to stand still
Rest
because
your eyes."
you're a bit tired."
We used to have, when I was
So I rest mine.
when I was training at the conservatoire, the dance school. There was a guy, and we had some theory, very little. Like we did a lot of dancing, and they always scheduled theory at the end of the day. So smart, and he had an amazing ability to fall asleep with his eyes open.
Oh wow!
And it was the most peculiar look because it was like he stopped looking out of them.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anything quite like it. He really, it was super freaky, but what a talent.
Anyway, I was in the club and I was having a really lovely time, and everybody was having a nice time and were being nice to one another. So there I was, enjoying myself, and I remembered a conversation I'd had earlier on in the week with a colleague who asked, "Why is everybody so angry all the time?" And we both sort of had a chat about what it was that was making everybody so cross, because we agreed that there was a sense that everybody is angry all the time, or at least the media is telling us that people are angry all the time. And
Hold on. The door. Oh, wait, hang on. The door's just swung
Hello?
open and someone's creeping in with a
I hope it's someone you
smile on
know.
her face.
is this a home invasion? Do you need me to call 999?
Hang on. Lee says hello.
Is it an intervention into the podcast or an
Lil
intervention
said
into the wardrobe?
She thought it would be a quick intervention and
Into the podcast or into the wardrobe?
into the wardrobe. It's into the
Oh,
wardrobe.
right, okay.
But now it's too...
I mean,
I've heard you both talking about your addictions. Now I'm staging.
Did you hear that? Did you hear
I
that?
can hear that. Yes, I can indeed.
I thought you had your headphones on.
No, you have your headphones on.
Are you saying I'm talking too loudly?
Is this Lil's inaugural visit to midlifing?
I think it might be.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I think
This is a high watermark.
so. Anger.
So I was thinking about my experience last night. I didn't see any anger. I just saw untrammeled joy. Do you think that people are getting more mad? Like more cross?
I don't. Well, of course, I am in no position to answer such a question. And the only thing that comes to mind, though, which is a way to respond, is that it seems clear that we're being. When I say we, I mean I think I'm thinking the people of the United Kingdom, and so I'm not going to speak for anyone outside of this particular United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and not very united. Clearly, and so there's certainly something in terms of this feeling of instability that what's going to happen tomorrow, and what's going to happen, and what happened last week. And so it's like the sensation I have is things coming at us a lot. And I'm in a position, I could say, if of all the privileges I possess, and that's next week's episode. One of the privileges I possess is that the sense that I am reasonably well resourced. I don't just mean financially, but you might say psychologically, emotionally as well, to deal with those things. And the why of the feeling, and which might be different from the reality of being resourced, means that my capacity to cope with that sense of insecurity or instability is probably reasonably good. But that's a long way of saying, but there are going to be lots of people in this country. This country, what is it, 67 million people, something like that, that their capacity to cope with the sense of the ground constantly moving underneath them, constantly. And which is why it's no surprise that a populist leader would be elected and with such a huge mandate, the way Boris Johnson was, because here's someone who's promising us the world.
Yeah.
Or here's someone who promised us the world. And and to me, it's I don't think it would be at all surprising that one of the reflexive responses to that instability is to lash out, regardless of the target. But the usual demons, they're the usual suspects, aren't they? The people that human beings blame, and we tend to blame people who don't look like us. It's pretty simple. I think there are
don't look like us, don't sound
like and there
us,
are good reasons.
Don't do the things we want them to
they're
do.
good. There are good, very, very good cultural reasons for that as well. I don't agree with them at all. I don't like it at all. But there's that sense of effectively circling the wagons, but on an epic scale.
So when you say good cultural reasons, you mean they grow out of an anthropological trait.
Yeah, and also not,
rather than
exactly. You have to do a lot of. I actually think we human beings have to do a lot of work to trust people who don't look like. I really do think it's hard work. Like, I don't think it's something that comes easily to us.
I guess we kind of talked about that last week, didn't we? We were talking about what does it take to trust.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that was a different context. It was a much more sort of personal context, wasn't it? Or a closer context. We're talking about it on a.
Yeah, but we didn't interrogate at all that sense of what we didn't do was we didn't.
There's that great. Who's the Levi Strauss was the anthropologist, wasn't it? Claude Levi Strauss has that beautiful beautiful bit of writing about villages, and you want to keep your enemies far enough away, but not so far away that you grow not to ever see them. So you grow but you also don't want to keep people that are. I'm really screwing this up, and it'll be in the show notes just as a correction. But that you don't want to be too close, because then you end up in it kind of creates friction and tension. So there's he's describing this kind of sense at a tribal scale.
Here's the weird thing, isn't it? I wonder if that takes us back to, although I know we haven't really delved into it in detail, but just by talking about Reddit, we've got this weird sense of the many together and apart that the internet is.
It sure is, isn't it? It's weird.
Yeah, and it amplifies voices, and we know it does this. We know that it amplifies voices that satisfy us and that lean into, or allow us to lean into, the way that we were thinking anyway. It doesn't do anything to interrogate us or challenge us, and the algorithmic nature of it keeps pushing us further and further down those paths.
Yeah, and it's propped up by extremes, so the voices of the very far left and the very far right are amplified in a way because the algorithms are pushing us towards those kinds of strong reactions. So that the massive majority of people who exist in between those polar extremes are effectively unheard.
Yeah,
we believe the things we want to believe. That's not a specific That's not a special group of human beings. We seek out things that reinforce the things we want to believe. Why we believe them is neither here nor there. But with that, we believe this, and you and I are doing it. We're all our listeners are doing it. Do you know what? Everyone goes on about the algorithm, and do you know TikTok? Everyone goes on about TikTok basically being like this algorithm high, like a sort of an extreme version of an algorithm. And I read something that the algorithm is so unsophisticated that the primary bit of data that helps TikTok, this machine learning, decide what video to send you next is, wait for it, how long you spent on something. That's the algorithm. Yeah. That's how sophisticated let's be clear.
Yeah.
Oh, that person spent a little longer on that one than they did on that one. Let's send them more.
Maybe they like dogs. We'll send them more dogs.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
exactly.
I sometimes on Instagram, I will look at something which I'm uninterested in, and then get other things that I'm uninterested in, and then go don't like, and think, I guess the algorithm is getting really upset. But I thought you wanted that, Lee. Please don't shout. Please don't press the screen so hard.
Why are you so angry, Lee?
Don't thumbs down.
Just take a deep breath.
I have no idea how we got here. Based on, I had a really nice night in a club listening to Branko.
That is so awesome that you had it.
He was just all kinds of good. And if anybody is in London or anywhere where Branko is playing,
and don't be angry,
he did a lovely thing, and I've never heard this in a club before. He said, "London, is everybody having a good time? Yeah. Is everybody feeling safe?"
Oh.
And I just went, "Oh, I fucking love you." That's such a lovely question to ask. I mean, you could be cynical and go, "What are you going to do about it if the answer is no?"
Yeah, I'm sorry to admit that's exactly where my mind went. Well, who's going to go, "No, right now I don't." But yes, it is beautiful.
I mean, I thought it was a beautiful question to ask, but also it did something in my body in that moment that made me go, "Oh, where am I dancing? Who am I dancing near? And how do I make them feel?" So it immediately pushed me back into myself to go, "Oh, am I encroaching on anybody's space because I'm just being a bit too abandoned? Am I accidentally?" Because I was really aware of touch last night in a very interesting way. I got touched a lot.
Is this post-COVID awareness, or first time back in a club since you were in your 30s?
This is my first time in a club. Well, no, I don't think since.
By the way, happy birthday! But between the last recording and this recording, Lee, dear listeners, Lee David Miller has had a birthday, and you know what? It's his last birthday in the 40s. He's now on his 50th trip around the sun.
Yep, that's true.
It's a slippery slope, isn't it?
I mean, no, it feels exactly the same as last year and the year before and the year before that. It doesn't feel substantively different, except maybe being in a club felt less icky. I felt less aware of my there was less anxiety about my flesh in the space. I didn't feel judged.
So you did feel safe.
I did feel very, very
and you
safe.
were looking after the safety of others. You make me think that, and it's probably a slightly weird thing to say, but God, touching human beings and being touched by human beings is just incredible, isn't it? And I know it isn't for everyone, but God, I just think it's such a special. But I also appreciate that it's not for everyone and for all good reasons. But
that's why consent and asking and all of those sorts of things are really important. But one of the things I love about having a dog in the house is the profligacy of his touch. He doesn't ask permission. He's unconcerned about the fact that my body might feel a particular way. And, he'll just he'll push into me. He'll move me out of the way. He'll just walk between my legs. He'll sit on my feet. And because we were staying with friends last night, and he was in their house, and he took his behaviours with him. Because he's a dog and that's what they do. And he was profligate in their space. And you've had our dogs in your space, so you know how chaotic it is to have animals who are unfamiliar with your
Yeah, crashing,
rhythms,
the banging and
suddenly, yeah, exactly, banging, knocking things over,
that tail.
walking
God,
into
that
you.
tail.
Oh, I know.
I think it was William who
Jeff-
visited our place actually.
It was, yeah, it was. Will
in
would
London.
have spent quite a bit of time,
yeah.
with you guys. But yeah, so I think for me, it's not just about touching humans. It is just about being touched.
But not, yeah, it's true. Not just humans.
Yeah, me and Jeff were walking the dog. No, me and Jeff were walking the dog. Jeff is the dog. Me and Jeff were walking. I was walking the dog. And we went past a field of cows. And a couple came over to have a look at the small cow that Jeff is, because he's black and white like they were. And this cow just got very, very brave and just leaned its head against me.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure it was trying to just get a better look at Jeff.
But you happened to be in the way.
I was in the way, and it was just that sense of like, yeah, this big thing is just pushing me, and it was lovely. Touch is nice.
I like to think of you, you and your kin grooving away to Branco in London and just having a really beautiful, warm, safe, fun, no anger-free evening.
I think it was one of the most unself-conscious, and I'm not going to put this in the podcast because it just sounds ridiculous, but it was one of the most unself-conscious and joyous evenings I have ever spent in a room full of other people.
I don't know why you would want to leave that out of the podcast.
Oh, because I feel like I'm just saying, I had a nice time. Isn't going out fun?
No, it doesn't sound like that at all.
Or maybe it is also because I'm still negotiating what it is to be in a room with people,
sure.
and that was, I feel fairly confident I'm going to get
primed
COVID
you.
as a result
It
of
primed
this.
you for.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't. That's I think that's a beautiful thing to hear and really, really special. I don't. I have no cynicism about that, and all I feel is a little bit envious.
I'm sorry that it happened after you left London. Otherwise, you would have totally been on the guest list.
I was still recovering from my sugar hangover.